Alrighty, we have started. You ready for this?
Yes.
You bet.
Alrighty, here we go. Hello, welcome to the inaugural episode of You, Me, and the Corner Post. I'm you, he's me, that's the Corner Post. And we are doing our way too early ladder predictions for NRL season 2025. This is going to be probably a very scrappy recording because it's the first one we're ever doing. But I guess we will see how it goes. Alrighty, so we are going to start with each of us doing who we think are going to be the bottom four, and we're just going to work our way towards the top of the ladder because I imagine we all have the same team at the top anyway. Alrighty, I guess you can start.
Yeah.
Caleb can start this one off.
Okay.
You give us your bottom four working from the bottom up.
Okay. So the Dragons, I think, will be coming last
Interesting.
because they're losing Jack Bird and Ben Hunt, which are very big things for them.
Right.
Then the Eels are coming second last because even though Moses is coming back, they've lost Guffo and a lot of other players as well. The Warriors will be coming 15th. The disappointing 2024 season, they will piggyback off of that because they're not very confident. And then 14th, I have the Broncos because they had a disappointing year last year in 2024.
Wow, okay. Immediately, my thought process is Broncos are way too low. I think that Michael Maguire can do enough with that squad. The Warriors in 15th is interesting, and your reasoning is interesting simply because they gained James Fisher-Harris, who presumably can bring some of the Penrith 4-in-a-row winning culture over there, but they do lose Sean Johnson, which is who's been a cornerstone of their franchise for the past however long.
They also lose Marcelo Montoya as well.
Yeah, well, a winger's not going to do much.
Adam Fanua-Blake's a big loss.
Yeah, I feel like swapping him for Fisher-Harris is almost a like for like.
Yeah, but it's not really a net gain then.
Yeah, it's just
kind of a net zero.
Average.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair. I think I agree. I think I agree with the Dragons being low. I don't know whether I agree with them being 17th. I guess Dad can go next.
Okay, let's see what we've got here. Okay, I've got Parramatta getting the spoon. Now, I've said that because while they have gained Josh Adokar and Zach Lomax, they have lost Dejan Arce, Regan Campbell-Gillard, Clint Gutherson, Micah Sivo, and Blaze Talangi. It's a big group to actually cover for. Yes, they get Mitchell Moses back, but does he work well with Blaze? I guess. Whoever they've got now. Who will actually be playing 5'8", I don't really...
Dylan Brown.
Dylan Brown. He's good, but, yeah, they've got a few to cover. They were lucky not to get the spoon this year, 2024. They're perennial underperformers. They never... Apart from 2022, which was kind of a aberration, they've been pretty average. Lomax is a good game. He's been one of the best wingers in the competition for ages. But they need to change their attitude. They must have an attitude problem to have that good a group of players and still go as badly as they do. Jason Riles, is he going to be able to do anything with them? That is the question. So I've got them in 17th. In 16th, now you may not agree with me, but I've got the Gold Coast Titans down in 16th. Ooh. Now, I say this because their only gain of any note at all is Regan Campbell-Gillard, and some may actually argue that that's not a gain. They lose Tanner Boyd, Aaron Clark, and Isaac Liu. All good players, especially Aaron Clark and Isaac Liu. They're going to be lost. They're going to be missed, quite a bit. I think theirs is an attitude problem as well. Very similar to Parramatta. They've got the cattle. They get Tino back. Obviously, how long he stays back and not getting injured is a very big thing for them. And how they're going to use Jaden Campbell, AJ Brimson, and Keanu Kinney is a big...
It's the big one, yeah.
Thing. I mean, that's very important. Does it work? I've got Kinney as their X factor. How he plays dictates how well the Titans go as far as I'm concerned. So I've got them finishing 16th. Okay, let me find who I've got 15th.
Organised
Over here, I've
stellarly.
got it right. St. George. I've got them in 15th. They do gain Damien Cook, Clint Gutherson, Valentine Holmes. I put Lachlan Ilias there as well,
He'll,
to a lesser degree, but he's
he'll
still
be the starting center.
again. They've lost Jack Bird, Max Fionney, Zach Lomax, and Ben Hunt. So kind of pretty good swap there. I think Zach is their biggest loss. A lot of their points came through him. He kicked goals. He scored tries. Val Holmes, however, will probably slot into the goal kicking role
fairly well.
Lomax is now going.
And so Holmes and Cook are probably their biggest gains, I imagine. Their biggest. What have I written here?
Excellent start.
So, Holmes and Cook, biggest gains. Can they cover Lomax? I guess we'll see. Is there an X factor? Probably not. Not in their team. Not now that they've lost those players.
I guess it probably becomes Damien Cook, right? That's what he was at South the whole time.
Wow.
So they're 15th and 14th. I have the Canberra Raiders.
Whoa. Really?
Yeah. Okay, so hear me out.
Okay, this should be good.
Gains. No one that we've heard of.
It's all Super League people, isn't it?
And they've lost Jordan Rapana. Yes, he was 35, but he was still probably one of the best players in 24. And they've lost Nick Kotrick and Elliot Whitehead. Now, Elliot's probably a bigger loss than Nick. Is Ricky under pressure now? Their 2024 season getting pretty close to the top 8, falling at the final hurdle. Is there an X factor? Joe Tarpany, maybe. Xavier Savage, if he has a good year.
Kyra Weeks.
Yeah, possibly. Not sure where they can improve. They've really made no great gains and they've had a lot of losses. Do any of their Super League people make a big difference?
Yeah.
That's the question. So I predicted them for 14th.
Interesting. Alrighty, so your wooden spooners were
Dragons.
The Dragons. Yours were the Eels. I have the Warriors finishing in last. My reasoning for that is, yes, they get Fisher Harris, and that's a big thing. And how much of the Penrith culture can he bring? My big issue with them is the halves. I am not sold on the halves combo being Tamari Martin and is it Chanel Harris Tavita these days?
I imagine, yeah.
It's not a good combo, I don't think. We saw it last year where they didn't have the points in them anymore. And with Tohu Harris is barely on the field anymore. The Jackson Ford I'm not fully sold on as a long time second rower.
Yes, Roger's pretty good.
Well, what are they going to do with Roger? That's the big thing. It's what position are they going to play him in? Because they have Chance at fullback.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? Because Chance is a specialist fullback. He doesn't really do much else. Whereas Roger can play a number of places, which is what means he's not necessarily going to be fullback.
Do you think they're going to play him on the wing?
I think they will play him on the wings. The wing spot's opened up with Montoya leaving. I think that's a fair thing.
And with his breaking ankle steps, he needs to be somewhere where he can actually make that
exactly
work.
Yeah. With the halves thing, I have a prediction because they brought in Jet Cleary from the Penrith system. I think he's going to be starting by mid-season. I think one of the halves are going to drop out, and just based on name value alone, he's going to be in there at some point.
Yeah, that is a big thing. That's a big thing on his shoulder, though, carrying.
It's a huge thing. I think he has it. He seems like he does fairly well. I'm very curious to see how he goes.
Okay.
16th, I have the St. George Illawarra Dragons. All of their points last year came through Ben Hunt. They were a bang average team. He still led the league in try assists. He's one of the best ball playing halfbacks in the league currently. They lose that. Lockie Ilias is fine, but there's a reason he got dropped for form from the Rabbits of all teams. I don't know how good Shane Flanagan is going to be for this crew. They have some good signings, but the amount of turnover in that roster in such a short amount of time, I think is going to mess with the chemistry a bit.
Yeah.
And obviously their forward pack isn't getting any younger. Jack DeBellin is 34 or something. He's still there. Blake Laurie got dropped for some reason. I don't know what happened there. The second rowers, I mean, they have Jaden Sewer, who's been in good form,
Yeah, he's excellent.
but it's like
They
there's
can't
not.
carry the whole
They
team.
don't have much depth, and they don't have a lot of developing people coming through. Besides maybe the Couchman brothers, who look all right. However, I will say that I do think Damien Cook is going to have a resurgent season. I predict he's going to play Origin off the bench at some point during the year. That's
like a utility player.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's my bold prediction for
Okay.
for the Dragons squad this year.
Fair enough.
15th, I have the Redcliffe Dolphins. The post
Or
Wayne,
just the Dolphins, as they like to be called.
yeah, the boys from the.
Yes.
The post Wayne Bennett drop off is a real phenomenon. It happens to every team, and I love Christian Wolf. I think he's a great coach. I just think it might take a little bit of time for him to work this squad out the way he wants, especially with how old that forward pack is. And that's the reason they've faded away the past 2 seasons. They just don't have the stamina to keep up. Like, Max Plath is great. He's done good. If they can get a full season of Tom Gilbert, it'll do wonders for them. But Tom Flegler still being out is going to hurt a lot. Jeremy Marshall King is never healthy.
What's even the go with Tom Flegler? Like,
He's got some nerve issue in his shoulder. He may not play this year. I think if he misses this season, I think he should
He'll retire
retire.
medically. Yeah, I think so.
It sucks for him so much.
I think he's a international level forward. and he's
Absolutely.
not able to play.
He's great.
It must really suck.
It's just terrible. My other big concern with them is the spine, because they missed Trey Fuller for the first half of the year, which means they have to play Hammer at fullback. And my opinions on Hammer Tabuai-Fidow are well documented within this crew. But for you guys, I don't like him. I think he's overrated. He's fast, sure, but he has the Latrell Mitchell problem of where he will just do nothing for 75 minutes of a game and decide, you know what, I'm going to run the ball well for once. And he just doesn't do that nearly as much as he needs to. Also, Isaiah Katoa, I think he's great.
He was really good this year.
I think he was worse than the year before. I think he regressed. Well, he got dropped for form again. It's another one of those. If you're getting outplayed by Cody Nikorima in the year 2024, there's an issue happening.
Yet he played for his country. I mean, I guess.
So did Brad Takarangi. At 7, mind
we
you.
don't talk about Brad Takarangi.
Exactly my point.
Like a million years old.
International football doesn't mean much in that context.
Yeah.
Look, I think he's great. I think he can continue to progress. I just don't know whether he's the answer right now for what the Dolphins need.
Okay, fair enough.
Don't
mind that.
I think they are going to be the worst defensive team. I think they're going to concede the most points.
Okay.
Because, again, that's the Wayne Bennett thing. He's always this hard-nosed, like, make sure you make your tackles and stuff.
Yeah.
It fell apart at the end of last year. I don't think Christian Wolf's going to be able to salvage the ship.
I guess we'll see that one. That is the $1 million question.
Exactly. And in 14th, I have the Parramatta Eels. I think that, look, for as long as they have Mitch Moses, they're going to be somewhat decent. Because he's phenomenal. He is 31, so he is getting a little bit up there.
It's all right. He's got 2 or 3 more good years in him.
Well, let's face it, he's been the best halfback New South Wales have had in the past few years.
I think it must be halfbacks must mature a bit later than other players, because you've got Daly Cherry Evans, who's 35.
It's a cerebral thing. You get more intelligent as a footballer as you go along.
I mean, to be fair, you get wisdom.
Yeah, that's it.
When you get older, you get more wisdom.
Exactly.
Well, you hope, anyway.
Yeah. I guess the big thing for Mitch Moses, then, though, is with his age, a lot of his skill set comes from his running game. And if that starts to fade away, I don't know how effective he's going to be.
He still will have a good kicking game. We know that. He's got probably the second biggest boot in the competition.
Yeah, probably. At least of the regular starting halves, anyway.
Matt Burton would be the only one, probably bigger.
Look, I think Riles has been left such a garbage situation. The Parramatta roster management over the past few years has been terrible.
Yeah.
Brad Arthur completely butchered that roster. Look, and if it is an attitude problem with them, maybe a change of management can help with that.
Yeah, it's possible. But I think it's going to take a bit longer than a couple of weeks to sort that sort of thing out, though, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's a few players on there that are so much higher than what the team accomplishes, like Mitch Moses, but even like Jermaine Hopgood as well, like Origin forward, plays exceptionally well, and he's stuck on this bottom feeder. With Clint Gutherson gone,
Nathan Brown,
No, Nathan Brown's on Manly.
Oh, he's moved, right, yeah. Okay.
They bring in Isaiah Iongi from Penrith, who played one game last year. He looked okay. I don't hate the signing. It's just I don't know how well he is going to go. But they don't really have a ready-made replacement at fullback if he doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Unless they want to chuck like Bailey Simonson back there or something.
I mean, he'd be serviceable, but I don't know that he'd be great.
I don't think Iongi is going to be that good. I think Dylan Brown may be the best player for them this year.
He was the best this year that we've just had. In absence of Moses, he was, even though they didn't perform well, he was their best by a country mile.
Absolutely.
So,
and the other big issue I have is their hooker position, because Joey Lussick isn't the answer. Brendan Hands is fine, but he's not anything great. They haven't really had anyone good back there since they let go of Reed Marnie, and that's a big problem. So, yeah, I don't think Parramatta are going to be great. I think if they can avoid the injury bug a bit, they're going to be slightly better than last year. I just don't see them competing for a top 8 spot. Alrighty. Next 4.
Yes, okay.
13th through 10.
Yeah, I can count.
Can you?
Just making sure.
First, if I have the Gold Coast Titans. Because, yes, they're getting Carter Gordon, which is good for them. But it'll take a few seasons before he gets, like, comfortable into league instead of union.
Do you think he's actually going to play? Where do you put him?
Half.
What, over either Kieran Foran or Jaden Campbell?
Probably over 4, and he's getting very old.
I don't think so. I think they have enough trust in Foran that they'll keep him.
They'll leave Foran there, basically.
I think that Carter Gordon will probably play either a 14 or in the centres. I think that's how I think they're going to utilise him. He seems like a good player. I just don't know, because he's a rugby union convert.
Exactly.
So it always takes a little while for them to adjust.
I think it's easier for leagues to go to union than the other way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am curious.
And obviously, Campbell's getting there as well.
Which is a good signing for that forward pack.
Raiders in 12. They were on the cusp. They were on the cusp of a top 8 finish last year. That will be very disappointing. They will be down on confidence. I don't see them doing better than 12th.
Really? Interesting.
That's right. I've got them worse than that.
Yeah, you've got them worse than that. Man, mine are so different to you guys. This is insane.
Well, the Rapidos are in 11th for me.
Oh, my word.
Oh, dear.
Okay.
That's a little more than I've got. I'm going to see that in a minute.
You really don't believe in Wayne Bennett, do you? Wow.
I don't believe in him. I just think the Rapidos team isn't the best it's ever been, because they lose Damien Cook. Like, he was one of their cornerstones.
They have Marmazelis as a ready-made replacement. He's been sitting behind him for 3 years. If there's any time he's going to start, it's now.
Well, he might, but does he reach Cook's level straight away?
And also, Latrell starting for them is big in the first few
He needs to stay healthy. He really needs to stay healthy.
He's looking really good, though.
He does. He looks like he's slimmed down. He looks like he's actually enjoying football again, which is a good start.
And 10th, I have the Tigers.
Whoa! Progression!
Yes. I mean, they do get Luai, Taruva, and Bird amongst, like, Kafusi or whatnot. Oregon Kafusi.
Yes, right, they got him from the Sharks.
I just think that it'll probably take another year before they get into a top 8 spot.
Yeah.
Like, they'll have to mould into the culture and whatnot over the Tigers. And that was it.
Yeah, okay. That's fair. I think I agree with the idea that the Tigers are 1 year away from being a legitimate contender. It's just going to... It's how much you believe in Benji Marshall. This year, I think, is the big thing for Benji.
I did the thing where I spun a wheel, and the grand final was Storm Tigers, and unfortunately the Storm won.
Yeah, good luck.
I'm fairly certain that is a pipe dream.
This year is a big year for Benji Marshall, because if the Tigers are terrible again, he's gone.
I'd say so.
There's no excuse for them this time.
No.
But who are they going to sign? Laurie Daly?
Well, would that make New South Wales have a different coach?
I'll go into that when I get to a specific team.
That should be interesting. Okay, so 13th. Now, you're probably not going to agree with me. This is a team that finished 8th this year. I've got the Knights finishing 13th.
Wow.
Now,
okay then.
Now, go with me on this for the time being. You can have a chat.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
They lose Daniel Saifidi. He's a pretty big loss as far as I'm concerned. They also lose an Ari Tuala, which is a less of a loss, but he's still one of the centres that plays relatively well. And their only gain of note that I've seen is James Schiller. Now, not sure that that's a great game.
Well, he's just the replacement for Inaugural, I think.
So the Knights this year did what they always do. They scraped into the finals on the back of Kalen Ponga. And then they lost in the first week. Which is what they always do.
Always.
Now, I don't think things are going to change, except they're going to get a little worse. Because if they teams are going to work them out. They're going to say, look, keep the ball off Ponga as much as you can. And the Knights are really nobody without him. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't think they make the 8 at all, and I've just got them down at 13. They could go as high as 10, but I think, I've put them down there. And as the season goes on, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I just don't think they've got much in them to get them into the top 8 this year.
Yeah,
Only
I agree.
Okay, who have I got in 12th? Oh, yes, the New Zealand Warriors.
Wow, you have a lot more faith in them than I do.
Well, let's face it, 12th is like 5th last or 6th last. They're not going great. So, I do this because Adam Fanua-Blake goes bye-byes. Sean Johnson's retired. Again. Marcelo Montoya and Jazz Tavanga are all gone.
That's right, they did lose Jazz.
Okay. They gain 2 Gold Coast Titans who, as we've seen before, didn't go so well this year. So they get Tanner Boyd and Aaron Clark. Their big gain is James Fisher-Harris.
Absolutely.
Right. But like we were discussing when you brought him up in yours, he's basically a one-on-one swap for Adam Fanua-Blake. They're almost the same player, except Adam's got a bit better footwork.
Yes.
I think Sean Johnson is a massive loss. Even though he's not quite as good as he was in his heyday, he still brings a spirit to the game that others don't necessarily have. The big question is, can they rediscover their magic from 2023? And my answer to that is no, not this year at least. Okay. I think their X factor is probably going to be James Fisher-Harris. How well he goes will dictate how well the Warriors go to a point. So I predicted them to finish 12th. 11th. My 11th is the West Tigers.
Fair enough.
Okay, so now I've done that because their gains are pretty impressive for this year, right? They've gained Jack Bird. He's getting older. It's not as big a gain as the next couple in Royce Hunt and Jerome Luai, right? Also, Terrell May.
Oh, that's a huge signing for them.
Sunia Taruva, Gerald Skelton, and Leo Thompson is a possible at this point. Who knows?
Leo's still contracted to Newcastle until the end of 2025. So unless he gets an early release, he's not going anywhere. Which is possible.
Their biggest loss, they've got 2 pretty big losses in Isaiah Papali'i and Stefano Utoikamanu. They're the big ones. They also lose Aiden Caesar, who was a good foil, I suppose, and Jake Simkin to a lesser degree, who we probably didn't hear much of.
And John Bateman as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that dropped today, wasn't it? The Bateman's
that's right.
Going. Oh, boy. Yeah,
it was worst kept secret, unfortunately. Bateman, is he a big loss? We don't know that just yet. Once again, I think they underachieved in 2024 given their roster. Their roster was not the worst on paper. Okay, they should have done better than last. Let's just say that.
Well, okay, my issue with that becomes who were the good players on that team? Lockie Galvin.
Dream Buller.
Justin Olam.
Buller was injured for the latter half of the year. He did his ACL.
Olam was good.
Olam got suspended.
Yeah, he wasn't.
And he's average anyway.
Right.
Lockie Galvin was the big standout.
He was great.
I guess Samuel Afainu had a decent season, but there's just not a lot there last year. They have a lot more this year.
Well, their hooker was... But
Coruscant was still good.
Yeah,
and he gets to reunite with Jerome Luai, so that'll be fun.
Yeah, so that'll be good. So they had some very good gains. I think their biggest gain is going to be Jerome Luai. I think their possible X factor is going to be Terrell May, just because how good he was this year. I think if he can bring that form to the Tigers, they'll do a lot better than they did in 2024. can't see them making the 8, but I can't see them getting the spoon. So I've got them in 11th. And in 10th position, that's the problem with putting it on paper, right? Here we go. I have the team from the.
Whoa, you got them in 10th?
I've got them in 10th. I predict they're going to finish at about the same spot they did all day in 2024. Now, the reason being is they haven't made any major significant gains. They got Kula Kefu from the Cowboys. They got Daniel Saifidi from the Knights, and they got Max Fiernay. They only really lose Ewan Aitken, but for the same reason as you, do they gel well under Christian Wolf? Yes, he's very good at coaching because we can see that when he coaches the Tongan team, he gets them up, right? Hopefully they can do well for him, but I predict a similar thing that's happened every year. They're going to start on fire, just smashing it, and as the year progresses, they're going to get steadily worse and drop out and finish in 10th. I think the big question is Hamiso versus Fuller.
Well, they don't have to worry about that for at least the first third of the year.
Yeah, because he's out with his ACL. But what happens at that point? And I believe their X factor is probably Herbie Farnworth. I think he is their best player.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that.
He's the most exciting player.
I would always say Jermaine Zarko is probably their best.
He's a winger.
He's still good.
Yeah, Jermaine is good for points. We know this. He scores lots of points. But we can see that didn't really help them in 2024.
Exactly.
Right? So just because you've got a points guzzler doesn't mean you're going to actually do well in the comp.
Yeah.
You know? So, okay, well, that's me up to 10.
Alrighty. My turn. 13th, I have the West Tigers.
Wow, okay.
Look, I know we've said this for the past however long, but this year it really feels like it can't get any worse, right? There is no way they are a worse team this year than they were last year. The amount of signings they have, the quality of the signings they have is huge.
Well, you know, physically they can't get worse, right?
Well,
17th is as low as it goes.
But see, we said that in 2022 when they won the spoon. And then they got the spoon in 2023 when it went from 16th to 17th. So it did get worse.
Well, this year it can't.
It can't get worse.
Until 2028?
I don't think it's possible that they can get worse. Yeah. I love the Terrell May signing. I think that's huge for them. I think Royce Hunt's really gone under the radar. He was so big for the Sharks off the bench last year. I think he'll bring a lot of impact that they can use. Jerome Luai is obviously a big one. The question I have with Jerome Luai is how much is he either going to hurt or help the development of Lockie Galvin? Because he was really the number one option last year. Because he was so good, his passing game's phenomenal, he's strong defensively. But if Luai gets the bulk of the ball, that could eat into his development speed as well, and they need as quickly as possible for him to hit his ceiling, because he was the best rookie last year, by a country mile. He didn't get nominated because he got suspended for Rookie of the Year, but he was the best rookie by a long shot. I like Jareem Buller. I think if he can keep progressing, they're going to be good. I think they're a year off. I think 2026 will be the year they make it back to finals football, but this year it's just seeing whether Jerome Luai can fully steer around a team with a lesser quality than what Penrith had, really, and if Benji Marshall is the answer at coach.
So do you think they're going to have a similar sort of trajectory as the Bulldogs? They're going to go 1 year where they're kind of sorting themselves out, and then they'll...
No, because I feel like the Bulldogs' rise really came out of nowhere, because 2023 they finished in 14th or something. They were bad, and then completely did this 180 turnaround, hit 7th or whatever it was. Sixth. Yeah. They hit 6th this year, which is huge for them. I just think that the Tigers losing Stefano is a big one for me. I think that he was their big meter eater. He's an origin level forward. They really don't have a ready-made replacement unless they really want to play Terrell May for huge minutes. So I'm very intrigued to see how the Tigers go. I do, however, think that they are going to be the side that gains the least amount of meters. I think that
their forward pack a bit lacking.
I think they are a little bit, but I think it also comes as a function of them not going to be having a lot of possession, because they need to fix the ill discipline issue that they had last year. They set the record for sin bins, right? It was a very, very poor year.
Including their captain, unfortunately. He got off a couple
Happy
of times.
Forrest needs to figure out how to stop missing tackles.
Well,
That's the big issue.
as a hooker, you can't afford to be doing that.
He misses like 6 a game.
Yeah.
And I know that he's more of like the crafty ball playing 9, but you still need to be solid
your tackles,
defensively.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Understand
think the
that.
Tigers, we're going to see progression, and I think that's all that fan base can hope for at this point.
Okay.
So I am intrigued to see how they go.
Yeah, looking at your notes,
Okay,
this is going to be a bit of an argument.
this is going to sound like heresy.
I know what this is.
In 12th, I have the North Queensland Cowboys.
Stupid.
That's a mistake.
Let me explain, okay? Let me explain. They are the only team that finished in the top 8 in 2024 that hasn't improved. Like, squad-wise, coaching-wise, at all. They are the only team that, in my opinion, I think has gotten worse. Because, look, Carl Lawton, fine signing. Jackson Paulo was fine. But it's like, losing Valentine Holmes is huge because there goes half your points. Losing Kyle Felt, there goes all your tries. You don't have enough depth in the outside backs to replace them. I don't know who the 7 is going to be. That's a big question. This is the last, if they are going to contend, this is the last year to do so, especially with the departure of Reece Robson. So I
don't think they're going to.
I don't think they will. I'm accustomed to failure with this team. Nothing good ever happens. Signing John Bateman is a dumb move.
Apart from them finishing in the finals the last 2 out of the last 3 years.
Right. Okay. Counterpoint then. You have the Knights that low. They have the exact same thing. They finished in the finals like 4 of the last 5 years. Still no one has any faith in them. I think...
Yeah, but I think the Cowboys have more X factors in their team than the Knights do. So, or players that can break a game.
That's the issue with the Cowboys the last few years. Inconsistency is the big thing. They don't need X factors. They need people who are solid. Because if you look across this roster, you've got what? Scott Drinkwater, who's the most rocks and diamonds player in the NRL right now.
Reece Walsh exists, but yes.
Yeah. Okay, arguable, sure. You've got whoever the 7 is going to be, because that could either be a genius move or a complete disaster. Because it's either Jake Clifford, who has been out of the NRL for however long and couldn't get a start up here. He did after they dropped Chad Townsend, but the first stint he was up here.
He had a really good game against the Raiders up here.
Yeah, cool. That was the only good game he had.
Well, he was solid with the others. He wasn't great.
Exactly.
I think my personal
we didn't see the ceiling.
My personal thought. I mean, the bonus about Clifford is he's able to kick you out of trouble if you're in trouble.
Yeah, that's the big thing, and that's a good weapon for the Cowboys Arsenal, considering how bad the forward pack is, in my opinion. Because you look at who's there: Jordan McLean, who's 33, Tamalolo, who's 32. You've got
Tamalolo's 31, I think.
Okay,
yeah.
Same problem.
Griffin Neem, your man crush.
Griffin Neem starting off the bench. They need to play him more. You've got Halem Lukey, who's never healthy. You've got Jeremiah Nanai, who is inconsistent as all hell. You've got Ruben Cotter, who's one concussion away from retiring. It's a complete disaster of a forward pack, and the bench doesn't do anything.
I'm sorry, I think you're making things up.
No!
Ruben Cotter is not one... You're making that one up.
No, I'm not. Has
he come out and said that?
He's always had head problems. He's had the Cowboys have been very...
head problem.
No. The Cowboys have been very lucky in the past few years to avoid the major injuries that have come up. I think this is the year it's going to really
hit the ACLs that they've had in the last 2 years.
Okay, yeah, I guess they lost Tom Chester a couple of days ago as well, but he wasn't playing anyway, sadly. I like it.
Well, I think their loss of Cohen Hess this previous year was a big one.
I just think there's too much turnover in the outside backs. I think the spine is going to be an issue just based on gelling. Drinkwater clearly doesn't get along well with a lot of the team. He's too chirpy and doesn't put in enough effort. I think that they are going to regress significantly. I think that whoever they put in to kick goals is going to be terrible. I think they're going to have the worst goal-kicking conversion percentage in the NRL. And I think that Todd Payton is going to be fired at the end of the year. That's my big prediction. I think he is going to be gone. And if the Tigers are terrible, he is going to be the next coach of the West Tigers. That's my rant over.
Have what you're having.
I just can't see a world where the Cowboys are as good as they were last year. Because even they finished 5th last year, and everyone called it a disappointing season. And I don't know what's changed within the team to say that we're going to fix that. I just can't see it.
Maybe the moving on of Valentine Holmes and Kyle Felt, and
Well,
that can actually be a positive.
I want to know who they have in the outside backs that's at that caliber of player. There's just nobody.
Jackson Purdue.
He might get the 7 job.
I think that might be Tom Duffy, but we'll find that out. As we
It's
get
a
closer.
3-way
Jackson
shootout. I
Paulo's
have no idea.
Jackson Paulo's going to be the winger.
I hope not. They've got to put Rob
I
Derby
think
out
it'll
there.
be Rob Derby, but we'll find that out.
I have no idea. I don't think Todd knows what he's doing with the personnel decisions.
It's going to be
John Bateman is a locker room cancer who gets run out of town wherever he goes. I just can't see it helping whatever the team chemistry is that doesn't exist at the Cowboys. I think they are going to be bad, and it's going to be a very frustrating year.
Guess we'll find out. Anyway, go on to your next one.
Okay.
Enough discussion about the Cowboys.
In 11th, I have the Newcastle Knights. For a lot of the same reasons you do. Kalen Ponga is the only weapon they have. Their forward pack is getting worse and worse as the weeks go on because people are leaving or not re-signing. Leo Thompson has indicated his interest to not re-sign with the Newcastle Knights, so he'll be gone at the end of 2025. As long as teams lock in on Kalen Ponga, because you watched that in the final against the Cowboys. He was the only reason that team was competitive. He was the only reason they got any points.
Yeah, he was the back.
I think that
All of their points.
teams just need to triple team him nearly every play. Everyone needs to be watching Kalen Ponga because even if that's not a good idea most times, Newcastle have no one else of note, really. Unless Will Price is really good. I don't know how they're going to do that. Adam O'Brien doesn't stick with a halves combination for more than 4 weeks.
Who's the big Pom fellow, the tall guy?
Kai Pierce-Paul.
He's
He
not bad,
was...
but he could be a lot better.
He was meh. I don't think Adam O'Brien's the right coach. And I've been saying this for however long. I think he is the reason this team has been underachieving for the past forever. I do think he is on the hot seat, despite them making the finals last year. Because with the amount of noise that's around this team and how good Kalen Ponga is, he needs to get better at building a roster around him.
Given he's a one-town team, so
It's
one
just-
team town, whatever.
I
they
don't
should
know.
be able to,
I've
yeah.
never been big on Adam O'Brien. I've never thought he was a great coach. I just think that if they want to progress, they either need to fire Adam O'Brien, which I think would be the right course of action, or engage in a full-on rebuild. Like,
Yeah,
just
they need
get
some
rid
people-
of everybody.
They need to build on Kalen. They need to keep Kalen Ponga, and they need to build around Kalen Ponga as their team.
I have an idea about that. I predict that at the end of the season, if Newcastle are as bad as I think they're going to be, he is going to request a release. I think
Or his dad's going to.
his dad's going to request a release. Really, I think that he's getting up there in age now. He's not young anymore. He's 27.
Which means he's in his prime.
He's in his prime right now. He needs to go somewhere that has a contending chance.
Yeah.
My initial thought of that was the Roosters, but they have. Oh no, what's happened? Okay, no, that's fine. My initial contender for that was the Roosters, but they've re-signed what's his name, James Tedesco for another year, which kind of kills that one.
Yeah.
And their forward pack is not good. Obviously, losing Saifidi's a big one, but they have really no one because like Jack Hetherington is bad. I mean, Jaden Brayley is okay if they can keep him. I know he wanted a release as well, so I don't know how. I mean, they have Fletcher Shapper. Where's he going to play on the wing? Like, it's just not. There's not much there for the Knights to work with, and I think they're going to be bad. I think Adam O'Brien will be fired. It's just, I don't know. I don't think they're going to be very good. Okay, and in 10. All right, so our recording software decided to have a conniption and cut off after I just finished doing Newcastle 11th. So I'll move on to my 10th position, which I think is going to be the Brisbane Broncos. Look, Michael Maguire's a good coach when it comes to picking anyone he wants to, like at the origin level, but at the club level, his roster building has not been great. We know that from the Tigers stint that he had. So, look, the Broncos have a decent roster, right? You look at, they have multiple origin level players. It's just, I don't know if his coaching style is going to fit a lot of the personalities that are within that team. Like, I think that the forwards will go about their work. I think Pat Carrigan's going to work fine. I think Payne Haas will work fine. They're going to be fine. The issue becomes with Reece Walsh and Ezra Mann. First of all, the question becomes if Ezra Mann's even going to be there, based on the fact that he did get, charged with the whole thing and got fined less than what people will for a high tackle, which is a whole other issue. But Reece Walsh has always been this very boisterous, outgoing sort of personality within that team, and I don't know if that fits. What's his name? That fits Michael Maguire's whole mantra of coaching. Because you look at the people he picked in Origin, it's all these just hard-nosed, hard-working sort of players. And look, if Michael Maguire can get through to Reece Walsh, I think it'll work perfectly. It's just a matter of if that will happen.
Can anyone? That's the question.
Yeah. I think that...
He's very rambunctious, let's say that.
Yeah. I think that the Broncos' issue is that they haven't found a big replacement for Tom Flegler. Because that was their issue last year. That was their defense falling apart. That was them not being able to gain as many meters and the reason they didn't score as many points. So, look, I think that they could be competitive. They could play spoiler for a few teams. They have a high enough ceiling. But I just don't think they're at that level where they can be a top 8 contender. Maybe 2026, if they can go out into the market and find someone. Like, if they sign Leo Thompson, that would be huge. I think they could do that, especially if they don't extend Adam Reynolds.
I think the Cowboys should have really gone for Leo, but anyway.
Cowboys should have gone for anybody, but they're allergic to signing good forwards.
John Bateman.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. We've already talked about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that the Broncos will be fine. I think that they need to try and lock up Payne Haas as quickly as possible, because if they're really bad again and he's locked
He
in,
might go away.
he might go. So
They need to lose him.
Yeah,
along
he
with
is the
Flegler.
one person they can't afford to lose.
Yeah.
He's the best forward in the
They
competition.
lose him, and
It's
their
over.
chances of getting 8 in the 8 will just
Gone.
disappear.
I mean, Pat Carrigan is good, but he's not that good.
No, he can't carry the whole team.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do our 9th,
yes.
right? And then we'll focus
Go
on
into the top 8. Cool.
Okay, so
Caleb.
your 9th place team.
The 9th place team for me is the Canterbury Bankstown Bulldogs.
After they finished 6th last year.
You see how the defense was in the end of the year?
Yeah, they finished 3rd defensively in the entire competition.
They conceded 44 points to the Cowboys.
Yeah, who were one of the better attacking teams in the league, mind you.
They also conceded 34 points to the Sea Eagles.
Who were also one of the better attacking teams. Do you not see the thread? It's not the defense that's the issue.
I thought the defense was supposed to be insanely good.
I think it's their offense that's the issue. They scored 4 points against the Cowboys and 6 against the...
Well, were they not missing Matt Burton and Stephen Crichton for that game?
I can't remember, to be fair.
Burton had a concussion.
Burton was out.
I thought Crichton played. No,
Oh.
Crichton played the
No,
Cowboys.
Crichton did play. Burton
Yeah.
was out.
Yeah. They probably missed him a little bit, but they couldn't score
Plus,
points.
they had... No, Crichton wasn't in because they had that one side of just the 2 debutants.
Except Crichton literally kicked their only goal.
Yes, Crichton
For
was
the
Oh, no, you are... No, that's right, yeah. No, but they did have the side with just the 2 debutants against the
So
Cowboys.
Crichton was probably on the other side.
And Maya laid one of them out, remember?
Yeah, you laid out Eli Clark.
Exactly.
They
So,
fell off.
look,
He knocked him over.
I think for that game, you can almost ignore the defense because that entire side was destroyed by injuries and...
Can you
people not
ignore
playing.
their lack of offense, though? I mean,
Well,
that
that's
wasn't
the
great,
Burton
and they
thing,
didn't
isn't it?
finish great in their offensive prowess. Hopefully, I guess, for them, they can pick that up. I think with Burton being there, that will help, quite obviously.
Yeah.
However, Caleb, I'm actually in agreement with you. I've got the Bulldogs also in 9th.
You lot are
Now-
insane.
Thank you.
Now, I'm saying this, and you've said it yourself for some teams, right? The hangover. The Cowboys came perilously close to winning in 2022. The year after that, they got 13th or something.
No, they got 15th.
15th. Obviously, that's even worse.
I have a retort. I'm going to let you finish your
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
But
The
the Warriors.
Broncos came
Broncos.
well, basically second in
Yeah.
the whole competition. The year after they missed the finals. And I don't go for the silly Penrith curse. I really don't. I just think it's a hangover. It can happen, right?
That means
It happened to the Warriors.
Warriors was the same thing.
So it could feasibly happen to the Bulldogs. And I'm in agreement with Caleb. Their defense wasn't good enough in the last few rounds. Their attack was, what's the word for it? Pedestrian.
To start the year, yeah, but they picked it up towards like the middle and the end of the year, I thought.
Yeah. Well, I think
but it coincided with the fact that they dropped Drew Hutchinson and brought in Toby Sexton. That really unlocked that attack. And if they can start with Toby Sexton this year, I think they'll be good from the get-go.
And like you say, I think they're going to have Satili Tupulanua. He's going to be a big in, right? They lose the fastest man in the world, right, to a different team. But that's basically their only major loss, right? But they only have one major gain. So, and they're not in the same position.
Well, they don't really... I don't think they have the salary cap to go for major gains these days.
But anyway, that's where I've got. I think their X factor can be Stephen Crichton. They'll build their year around him.
Absolutely. He's
So-
the best centre in the competition.
Yeah.
He's...
And he's a good captain. So
Absolutely.
that's my 9th. Yours, sir.
My 9th place is the Sydney Roosters. And I know that's going to sound insane.
You're stupid.
But, okay, hear me out, right? They have lost huge amounts of players this offseason. They lose their main veteran half, right? They lose Luke Keary. They lose their big enforcer in Jad Barira-Hargreaves. They lose Joey Manu. They lose Joe Suali'i. They lose Terrell May. That's a lot of players that were really good for them last year. Plus, they start this season missing Sam Walker because of his ACL injury. With a starting halves combo of Chad Townsend and Sandon Smith.
Or Connor Watson.
No, Connor Watson will be playing the 9 because they hate Brandon Smith, who's also underperforming. James Tedesco is getting up there in age. I think towards the end of the year they're going to be fine because that's when everyone's going to come back and be healthy. But the start of their year is going to be poor enough that I don't think they can make up for it and make the 8. That's my big thing, is that they're still a quality team, but the amount of injuries they're going to start the next season with and the amount of turnover they have in that team, it's going to hurt them at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
I don't think Trent Robinson is on the hot seat by any means.
No, he's not.
He might be heading into 2026 based on how they go, because I do think he's one of the more overrated coaches in the NRL. I don't think there is a coach that has done less with more than he has.
Money's on
Like, really. Because outside the 2 years that he had with Cooper Cronk, what else has he really done?
Yeah, he buys himself premierships and he's trying to do it again.
He's trying...
Salary
I don't think he is. He's
Well,
selling...
next year
He's
gonna-
selling too many people for me to believe
Yeah,
that.
but he's pulling out some of the better players from other teams. They don't develop their own players. They only buy players from other teams to try and win competitions, and that is not the way it should be.
I know how you feel about
Salaries
how the
are
Roosters go about their...
They don't develop their own players. You name me a Roosters junior that is in their team right now.
Daniel Tupou.
Okay, 1 out of 17 is not great.
Sam Walker.
He's not a Roosters junior. He's a Queenslander.
Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, he was... Yeah, never mind. Don't listen to me.
Salary sombrero.
It's not that... They
No, I actually agree with Nathan on this. I've looked at how many people they've actually let go, which is why they've actually got money to do it. But I also agree that Nick Politis can give many third-party options to them, which is a big selling point to get people to the Roosters.
Yeah,
So,
I do think you're right. I don't know. I just think they've lost a lot. Like, Jared and Terrell May were huge parts of that forward pack.
oh, yeah.
I
understand
don't
that.
think that Spencer Leniu has that sort of big minutes role in him. So I don't know how they're going to try and structure that forward pack because they don't have a ready-made 8 replacement now that Terrell May is gone. Sandon Smith, I don't know if he's the answer in the halves to replace Luke Keary.
Look, he's serviceable. He's
This-
not the worst, but yeah.
Where they finish this year is going to be entirely dependent on how good Tedesco is at the start of the year.
He was really good at the end of last year.
He was excellent at the end of last year.
He almost came home and won the silly-looking Dally M in the end. I mean,
If he
it was
won
pretty
that,
close.
they would have abolished the Dally M
Yeah,
system.
Well,
Absolutely.
We saw that with Kalen Ponga winning on half a season.
Oh,
So-
that. Ooh, we don't need to get into that. I have thoughts about that. The Allium system is stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah.
Okay.
So, yep, the Roosters are ninth.
Okay. So
The
how,
top
how do you
eight.
think we should do the top 8? I think we do 8 and 7 in a block because
like,
they're the bottom two
goes.
each time.
Yep,
Yeah.
okay, I think we can do that.
Okay, Caleb,
I
number
know
8.
you guys may think I'm insane for this, but I've actually got the Newcastle Knights in 8th spot.
I don't think you're insane because they did that last year.
It's very possible.
Yeah, I think. Look, I think my boldest prediction is Adam O'Brien will be the first coach fired in this regular season.
Hold on, you think they're going to fire Adam O'Brien mid-season and make the finals?
And make the finals?
Yeah.
Hold on.
It can happen.
That's how
The
the Cowboys did that when they fired Neil Henry.
Yes, they went on a 6-match winning streak and made it into 8.
So
or
it's
something.
not insane, I guess, but that very rarely
And I have another
happens.
prediction about that as well. Fletcher Sharp, I think, is going to be the breakout star this 2025.
On the wing?
Yeah.
Wingers are generally
wing
the flashy ones.
Who do you
Matt
think the wingers? That's
Bowen said
Greg.
about Kyle Feldt.
I guess maybe if he can nail down the starting wing spot, because Greg Marju's got the other side locked up, I think. Maybe. That's a bold...
My bold predictions.
Interesting.
They are bold
So,
for a
hey,
reason.
you really don't think teams are going to be able to zone in on Kalen Ponga that much? He's that good?
He's too dangerous.
He is
He's
good.
that good.
I
think he's excellent.
a very, very good
But
player,
if you have an entire team of 13 people watching you, there is only so much you can do.
You should come back.
there's a straight line of defence will always stop him. I don't care.
Right.
How good you are, if you stay in a straight line, it's when you start moving
around.
out of that line, he finds those
guess-
gaps and can bust through very easily. So
A lot of the success they're going to have, I think, is going to come on that right side because Dane Gagai is a big draw
oh yeah,
for people to be wary of because he's had an excellent last few seasons.
he's a good player.
But yeah, I think there's not enough consistency in that team for me to see them making the 8. But I understand where you're coming from.
Okay, number 7.
7, I have the Dolphins.
You think they're going to make the 8?
Yes.
Well,
I do think they're going to make the 8.
Okay.
That's when I'm not in agreement with
Ex-
you. But anyway,
okay.
keep going.
Explain this to me.
So Kula Kefu is a big piece of that.
How long is he going to play?
All season off the bench.
No, time per game.
I mean, how many minutes a game do you think he's going to play? Because he's going to be stuck behind Felice Kafusi and probably Connolly Lemuelu.
40 minutes.
You're going to take 40 minutes away from Connolly Lemuelu? Or Felice Kafusi?
or maybe 20 from each.
Kula Kefu's solid enough.
Cool. He's a great player.
He's
He's a
good.
great player, but I don't think one player can fix the issues that are within the Dolphins system.
And Jermaine Azako, obviously, he's really good.
He's good for a
He's really
winger,
good.
sure.
Toa.
I do like Jermaine and I do like Katoa, but they're pushing a lot uphill to get into the top 8 this year. I think.
Exactly.
But you
Sure.
are
You know
entitled
what?
to your.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Go off.
Yeah.
Go ham.
Okay.
I have a few ones that are going to do the exact same thing.
Same with me, I imagine. So that's the way it goes. Okay, my number 8 is the Brisbane Broncos.
Got them making the 8.
I've got them just sneaking into the 8.
And then losing to someone in the first round.
Okay, so based around their one gain
Of Ben
of
Hunt.
Ben Hunt,
Where's he going to
the
play?
prodigal son returns.
Okay, well, my question becomes where do you think he will play? If
Yeah,
that's
where
the
does he
case?
fit into the squad? That is the big question. Probably 9.
Put him at 9.
I think they're
Well,
putting
yeah,
at 9.
the nepotism isn't there anymore
No,
for Billy Walters
I
to
don't
say
think
the
Billy's
9.
going to stay there very long now that his dad's been given
I
the
can't wait
buck,
for the Cowboys
you
to
know.
sign
Oh,
him.
let's hope not. Can Reece Walsh work with Madge?
That's the big question. I agree with that.
My gut says no, but I guess we will see. Okay?
Fair enough.
He has to rein in his nonsense and not lose his game-breaking ability. This is it. He can do it, but will he?
Mm.
He's still quite young, let's face it. He's really got to pull his head in and play a good game rather than just be flashy, right? He's got to do everything, not just the cool stuff.
Right.
Okay. Is Madge the guy to turn the Broncos around this year? Not fully, partially,
Right.
which is why I've only got them just making the 8. I don't think they'll go far into the finals, but I still think they'll possibly make that 8.
I think, making the 8's probably a successful season for them.
They probably
really.
would, jumping up from what they did.
Especially with all the garbage that's going on in the off-season with them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not a Broncos fan. I just hope for Queensland supporters that they go okay. Their X factor is obviously Reece Walsh. I don't think there's anybody else. I mean, Payne Haas to a degree, but Reece
I
Walsh.
wouldn't call him an X factor because he's consistently good. My X factor for Brisbane would be Selwyn Cobbo because he's playing for a contract this year. Both him and Katoni Staggs are playing for contracts. So I'm very curious to see how they're going to go. Cobbo is great. Staggs is great. This is a big year to determine which one they're going to keep.
And obviously the Ezra Mam thing is a big thing that's over them at the moment.
Oh boy!
So what do they do if he actually
gets deregistered?
No, gets the butt right. What happens? They're gonna have to put somebody at
put
6.
Hunt at 6 if that's the case.
I guess you would. I suppose.
Although they have that Josh Rogers guy coming through who looks really good.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay, so I've got them at 8th.
Okay.
Where's my 7th? Haha! You're gonna like this.
Oh dear.
South Sydney. I've got them finishing.
You got them in the top
7th.
8. Okay, cool. That makes me happy.
Okay, now let me explain.
No.
They haven't. I mean, they've lost Damien Cook, but other than that, no major ones. Tane Milne, I suppose, is a loss.
Led the league in offloads last year.
But they get Josh Schuster.
Oh boy, you and Aitken as well.
You and Aitken. And do they get a couple of guys from overseas?
They got Lewis Dodd, who I think is the really interesting
And
one.
what is Lachlan Hubner?
Oh, he's from the Dolphins.
Yeah, I haven't heard much of him, but who knows? I think a lot of it's going to come down to how well Wayne Bennett
can
work with these guys, because they had a really bad year in 2024. They came second last.
Yeah, it was
right. Not great. Their new old coach is back.
Right, the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yes. He did quite well with them when he was there the first time. And the big question is, how does Latrell go?
Yeah.
The fact that they haven't gained any major, really good players is something that's kind of...
I guess the question becomes, what's their big area of need then, though? Because their forward pack is still fairly good, even without Schuster and Aitken, because you had Khalil Matangi, who had the best year of his career
he
by
is
far.
excellent.
You got Davy Moali, who's coming through and looks really good. Cam Murray is one of the best 13s in the competition. They've got Havili on the bench, who's very solid. Tallis Duncan is still there. They had a good forward pack regardless, and now they add Schuster, who has an immensely high ceiling, and Ewan Aitken, who's very, very consistent.
The problem with Josh Schuster is his floor is actually also very low.
Well, if he's on the field.
If he's ever on the field.
He got another hamstring injury, I think, a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, my big question is, can they get the most out of Mitchell? If they can, then the sky's the limit.
Absolutely.
With Souths. They could finish anywhere from 5th to 17th. This is
They have a huge margin of...
Yeah, they do.
There's so many teams like that.
But I think they'll miss Tom Burgess because he had a lot of impact off the bench. They will definitely miss Damien Cook. I'm not sure they'll miss Elias as much.
Yeah, it's who plays the 7. If it's Lewis Dodd...
So my 7th is South Sydney.
Fair enough.
Yep, that's fair.
Now, I hate that I'm going to do this, because you guys know my disdain for this team and this coach. I have the Raiders in 8th.
Wowzers.
I hate to do this, but it happens every year that the Raiders pull out some black magic garbage to get that close to the 8 with a negative for and against. Like, you look at last year, they had a chance to make it to the 8 because Corey Horsburgh scored a try off his own grubber kick.
It wasn't even a grubber.
Like, that doesn't happen with any other team.
It wasn't even a grubber. He kicked it into someone and then grabbed it again.
That's exactly what I mean. It's the dumbest thing, and it happens every year. And you know what? I'm buying in. They're going to make the 8 this year. If they can have a full season of Jamal Fogarty being healthy, that's huge for them. Zach Hosking is a phenomenal second rower who can take the place of Elliot Whitehead.
Kyle Weeks is there.
They still have Joe Tarpany. They still have Josh Papali'i. Kyle Weeks is a huge one for them. I hate that I'm doing this because I hate the Raiders. I don't like Ricky Stewart as a coach, but I can't take away from the fact that they're always there and thereabouts every season.
Yeah, you're correct with that.
It's just... I think that I'm going to make this prediction because he is eligible. I think that Jamal Fogarty is going to be named in an Origin extended squad at some point this year. Because DC and I think Dearden have the spots locked up unless Cam Munster gets put in. I think that Fogarty makes sense as an extended bench option, like if one of those two gets injured. So I think he'll be there at some point.
Yeah.
They need to fix the forward rotations is their big thing because you've got, I think Tarpany and Papali'i are fairly, like, their roles are fairly solid, but it's like, you got Morgan Smithies who was meh. He didn't do much. And these people on the bench where you have like Ata Madiota and Simi Sasangi and all these guys who are fine, but they need to get the minutes balance right. And I don't think Ricky's done that yet. If he can get it right this year, they're going to be all right.
Okay.
Okay.
That should be fun.
7th,
I saw that.
I have the Gold Coast Titans.
What?
You are
You're
absolutely.
insane.
We've
That's
said that. I
crazy.
know we've said this for the past 4 years. This is the year it finally clicks. I think it has to be. I believe in Des Hasler as a coach. I think he's a good coach. I think the Titans have the squad to do it. It's a matter of fixing, like you said before, the spine combinations of Brimson, Keeney, and Campbell. I think what they should do is have Keeney at the 1, they should have Campbell at the 6, and they should have Brimson as a bench player. Because, well, you look at how they did it last year with him.
Paying overs for a bench player, if that's the case.
Cowboys are paying Tamalolo $1 million.
He doesn't come off the bench. He
He
starts.
did. He started the year coming off the bench. But I think that, look, they tried to play Brimson in the centres, and I looked into this. Every time they did that, they lost. They didn't win a single game with Brimson playing in the
To be
centres.
fair, they lost a lot of games, which is why they ended up.
I remember, like, about 2/3 of the way into the year, they went on that really big run where they were, like, beating teams well. We thought, here they come, they're going to make a push for the 8, and then it all died.
They beat the Warriors.
Their big question is David Fafita, as it always is, because he had a down year.
And Tino.
Tino's back. If
He'll be
he's healthy,
back.
that's fine.
If he stays healthy, he'll be good.
Because the forward pack they have, I think, is one of the better ones in the NRL. Because you have Tino, who's phenomenal, Origin level forward. You've got David Fafita, who's also an Origin level forward, but doesn't play Origin because Billy Slater hates him.
He was
You've
bad.
got the rise of Jamin Jolliffe out of nowhere. He was really good. He got injured like halfway through the year, and that's when like their defense really started to collapse.
So number 11, I like. Who's
Bo Fermor,
Yeah, Fermor
also
I actually
excellent.
like.
I think he is going to play Origin
Is he
this year.
Queenslander?
He is a Queenslander. I
Yeah.
think he'll play Origin this year because, once again, Billy Slater hates David Fafita, and I don't think he's going to play Origin for as long as he is there.
I think- I honestly think Jojo Fafita is also going to have a breakout year. He was very
I
good.
thought he did that last year. You look at the spine they have. Keeney was phenomenal.
Yep.
You've got Jojo Fafita and Lofi Khan Pereira on the wings. Immense speed.
Yep.
You got Brian Kelly and I guess maybe Carter Gordon, who's going to play in the centres, which I'm fine with. I think they have a good squad. I'm expecting them to have like a Bulldogs-esque sort of season this year. And my bold prediction is that Jaden Campbell is going to be the NRL's leading point scorer. Goal kicking 5'8" with an excellent running game. I think he's in the box seat to do it.
That's possible.
I really like what I'm seeing out of the Titans and their coaching changes and what their personnel is. I think this is the year they finally do something.
You know what I
Okay.
think? I have a bold prediction that's not actually on here, but I think Tom Dearden's going to come in the
Why are
top...
we talking about Tom Dearden? We're talking about the Titans.
No, but I think Tom Dearden's going to come top 10 in point scoring.
No, absolutely
No,
not. You
I
need to
don't
be a
think
goal
so.
kicker. Unless he's going to score 25 tries, that's not happening.
Yeah. No. Anyway.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Six.
6 and 5.
6 and a half the Manly Seagulls.
Yeah, I get that. That's fair.
Because I think they're not losing anyone massive. They're not gaining anyone massive. They have like the same squad that they did.
It's fairly... they lose Carl Lawton,
Yeah.
who worked fairly well as like a replacement 9 for Lachlan Croker, who's never healthy.
But yeah, I just think that they'll probably have the same things
They're,
they did
they're
last
gonna be the same as last year. Really great attacking team if Trbojevic is healthy.
Yeah.
I think-
Fifth, I have the North Queensland Cowboys.
You are so naive. Why?
I just feel like
Enlighten me.
they have a lot of signings that they did kind of good on.
Who? They haven't signed anybody.
Ty O'Donnell looks kind
I think he'll be good.
Have you guys actually watched him in the Super League? He's average. He's basically Ruben Cotter, but like 10% worse.
Connor's not average.
He has the same play style as Ruben Cotter, I should say.
Carl Lawton.
But that's not what the Cowboys need.
Carl Lawton's probably going to be good.
Where's he going to play?
Forwards.
What, in the second row?
Which they have a plethora of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Although they lost Kula-Kefu, I guess he can just slot there.
We don't need
Unless
Myers.
Jason.
Myers bad.
Unless Bateman takes that.
Yeah, what are your opinions on Jeremiah Nanai? I'm
I just
curious.
think, he had such a down year.
He's had a down couple of years.
Yeah, 2022 he was immense. He was probably one of the second rows.
Yeah, then he got paid $900K a year and decided to be bad.
Then I feel like 23 was a bit of a drop off, and then 2024 was just
Terrible.
like a flat line. He didn't do much.
Exactly.
But yeah, I just have the Cowboys finishing 5th.
You really think they're the same as do you really think they're going to be the same as they were last year?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay then.
That's
Move
all
on
right.
from that one.
Moving right along.
I know we disagree on that one.
We're
We're going to have them in 6th, I reckon.
I've actually got the Roosters in 6th.
Interesting.
So
I guess you don't think their start's going to be as bad as I think their start's going to be.
well, I think over many years, their coach has managed to keep them in the top 8 forever, right?
Yeah.
So, their only gain of any note, and I say that with inverted commas, is Chad Townsend.
Have fun with him.
Their losses are pretty big. Losing Kiri, Manu, May, Tupanua, and JWH. That's a bit of it's a lot of a smash to their forward pack. Whether they have people that can cover them, we're going to find that out this year, I suppose. So, I mean, they came 3rd, right?
Yeah.
In 2024. So, I think they dropped down a little bit. I mean, I think the competition is going to be quite close anyway.
I think like between 3rd and 8th, there's going to be maybe 2 or 3 games. It's
There's not going to be a lot.
Close.
So, I think they'll drop a few positions. Having their number 1 halfback out for a good portion of the first part of the year will haunt them a little bit. Do they come back from that? Hopefully so for them, but I'm not so worried. They're a New South Wales team, so who cares? But I think they'll still make the 8, but it won't be as convincingly as previous years.
Right.
I think their X factor is going to be the inflictor.
Victor Radley.
Yep. I think
Where do you think they're going to play him?
he's going to be in the second row, right?
He'd be in the second row along with Siwa Wong.
Wong's a good player.
He's fine. Who
It's
else?
a Marvel movie.
Oh wait, no, Angus Crichton is there. I'm dumb. Don't listen to me.
Either that, who will play 13, I guess. That's
Well, okay. Well, if they're going to play him at 13, I think that means they're forced to play Connor Watson at 9, and then Brandon Smith off the bench.
Well, he would be a good utility. Brandon Smith is starting to get in his.
Regress.
He's losing his heyday. He's not as good as he once was.
Yeah.
You should trade it.
So I've predicted them to be 6th, and you're going to say the same thing to me as you said to Caleb. I've got the Cowboys in 5th. Right. However, it's not without its issues saying that they could finish as low as 10th.
Right.
Right. I hope they don't. My thought is, as much as you think the coach is going to be fired, he's not the worst coach in the competition.
He's not.
Right? It's whether he can keep the room going the way he needs it to go. It's whether he can get Jason Taumalolo to be back on board with him. If he can get the most out of Taumalolo, that'll be a big thing for the Cowboys.
The other big thing I forgot to mention when I talked about the Cowboys was I don't think Tom Dearden is captaincy material. I don't think he's vocal enough. I don't think he has the pull within the squad that Todd Payton wants him to have.
Who else is going to be?
But
the
he's
captain?
more-
Well, they've got
The-
Ruben Cotter already.
The leader by
It's fine.
example, I suppose.
You should have
The
one
problem with
spine
Ruben
and
Cotter
one
is
forward.
sometimes he's not on the field. Right, so that's why they do
You
that.
should have one
They have a
spine
forward and a
and
back
one-
so that there's at least somebody on the field all the time.
I think they should probably. No, it's a terrible idea. But if you're going to have someone on the field who talks a lot, the captain should probably be Scott Drinkwater if you're going to do that.
Well,
It's a terrible idea.
Jordan
Not a good
McLean.
idea. So,
Jordan McLean plays 40 minutes.
yeah, he's
So
not.
unless you're going to rotate him and Ruben Cotter, I don't think
Yeah.
that works very well.
So there's a couple of questions. Can Lolo keep his Tongan form? Because he was outstanding
Yeah, well,
for
he
Tonga.
could go all out because it was only 4 games. You
Yeah.
can't
What
do
about
that
that
over 24
PNG? What about
weeks.
that PNG dude? He
The-
looks really good.
Who will be
Maria.
Yeah.
the half? That's a big question. Who takes the 2 big point scorers positions? Right,
Who kicks goals? I think it has to be whoever plays the 7.
I imagine.
Unless it's Drinkwater.
Can Maya get his form back? That's a big question.
Ooh,
And can they get a full season from a healthy Helam Lukey?
that would be huge.
Healing Lukey's good when he's
And
like,
consistency, big exclamation marks,
Yeah,
consistency.
That's my big thing, is that there's so many question marks around the Cowboys that I can't with any confidence put them in the top 8.
And I understand what you're saying, and that's why I said they could feasibly finish as low as 10th.
Well, if everything clicks for them, like if everything clicks perfectly,
They're
a
top
top
14.
4 team. Exactly. I just don't see it happening.
I still think their X factor is probably Drinkwater. I don't know that there's anybody else you could class as an X factor,
I guess
unless Maya, if he has a breakout year again.
Oh,
And so I
Re-
predict them to
breakout.
be 5th.
Tom Duffy. He could
Interesting.
be an X Factor.
Yeah, the 7's the big point of
I think
contention.
7 is the big one. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Return 6.
6th, likewise to Caleb, I have the Manly Sea Eagles. I just think they're going to be the same as they were last year. There's not much to say about
They
them.
didn't lose anything. They didn't gain really much.
Exactly. Their spine is still phenomenal. Tom Trebojevic is still a top 5 fullback in the
If he
NRL.
doesn't get injured.
Obviously. They've got like a lot of speed in the outside backs. They have good forwards. Taniela Paseka had a great year. I'm very excited to see his progression keep going. The other guy that flew under the radar a lot was Josh Aloye. He was a bit of a nothing signing, but he played really well. I really enjoyed watching him. They have Ola Kawatu, who's arguably the best second rower right now. They have Nathan Brown, who's still there. They have a lot of good players there. I just don't see them improving much. I do think that Luke Brooks is probably going to take on a little bit more of a role this year because, Daly is 35 now. He's getting up there.
Brooks has to at this point.
Yeah, exactly. He's 31 as well. He's no spring chicken. So I am.
So Manly's window is
Their
getting a
window
bit
is closing
small,
fast. So if they're going to do something, it has to be in the next 2-ish years.
Yeah. I understand that. Yep.
Yeah. I just don't think they're going to be any different.
Who's 5th?
My bold prediction is that they're probably going to make the prelim final. I think finals football suits their style very well.
Yeah, because they grind things.
However, I do think that if they reach the prelim final and lose, Daly Cherry Evans retires. I think that's my prediction. At least, even if not from just rep football, I think it's full out. I think he's just he's getting to the point where he's 35 now. He has.
Well, I guess he'll make the decision after the Origin whether or not he.
That's a good point. Yeah.
5th.
5th, the Canterbury Bulldogs. I love what I'm seeing from the Bulldogs. I think Serraldo is the perfect coach for them. I think that they start with Toby Sexton. Their offense isn't going to start as poorly as it did in 2024. They bring in Satili Tupanua. They have another year of working within this system. They have a couple of really good young forwards coming through in Sam Hughes and Harry Hayes. Really liking those two. Matt Burton is also great. Stephen Crichton is great. It's the fullback position that concerns me just a touch because Connor Tracy is good, but I think they just need a little bit more out of there for them to be like a legitimate premiership threat. I think they'll be better than they were last year. They'll just keep progressing. I love the other thing I really like is Jacob Carraz. He's the perfect model for what the current NRL winger is. Like big dude, carries the ball a lot, offloads as well. He's another one of these like secondary forwards that teams like to use. I just really think they have the perfect squad composition for what the NRL is now. I think that's my big thing.
You don't think there's going to be that hangover that other teams have had?
No, and my argument for that is they didn't have as big a rise as those teams did. Because you think about it, the Cowboys went from 14th to 3rd. The Broncos, theoretically, they went from 9th to 2nd, which isn't as big, but it's still top 4. The Warriors went from terrible to 3rd. The Bulldogs only rose to 6th.
Yeah.
So it's not as big of as big an adjustment, I think.
When they finished 23.
Bad.
Yeah. So
they finished 14th or something.
So it's still a decent.
It's still a decent hike, but it's not like it's too far beyond what their progression is going. I think the other 3 teams overachieved. I think the Bulldogs are at where they are at. I think I just really like what I'm seeing from them. I think they're going to be better. I think they're just I think they work well for what the NRL is becoming.
Yeah, okay.
Top 4.
Top 4, okay.
Caleb.
Who have you got in fourth?
4, I have the Sharks.
Sure.
Fair
okay,
enough.
that's fine.
Yep.
Because, I mean, they're not losing... I mean, they're losing Adden and Oregon.
No, they
No,
gain
they're
Adden.
gaining
Oh, they're
Adden.
gaining Adden, sorry.
They lose
then
Oregon
They
Kaufusi.
lose Oregon and Kaufusi, and that's about it.
Yeah.
I just think that they're not going to be spectacular. They're going to be solid. They're going to be...
Do you think they're going to do the same thing they usually do, where they're like they're regular season merchants, and then once it hits the finals, they kind of fall apart?
Yeah.
It's just that again.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then third, I have the Panthers.
Fair.
Because they lose Luai, Taruva, and a host of other people.
Fish. Fish is the
Exactly.
big one.
I just think that they're going to fall off a little bit because they lose so much like experience in Fisher Harris and Luai and whatnot.
And they haven't really found a replacement for James Fisher Harris, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Do I just read the whole 4?
No, just those two.
Okay.
I just think, I think I agree with you with Penrith that, losing Fish is the big thing because they haven't found a replacement for him. I mean, they bring in Isaiah Papali'i, but he's a second rower. So unless they're going to push, like, Scott Sorensen to the prop, I don't know what they're going to do. I am curious to see how
They
Ivan...
could. I mean, he's a big enough body.
I'm curious to see how Ivan navigates that whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm checking the ladder from...
Okay. Fourth. Manly.
Progression.
I think they will. Because their losses aren't massive. I mean, who's their biggest loss?
Oh,
Jackson Paulo?
I guess. Carl Lawton, probably. Only because of the role he had when Lachlan Croker was out.
They get Jazz Tavanga.
Good signing.
And
That's about it.
they have a man coming back into the NRL, Siasua Taukeaho.
Oh, they did get Takeaho. I forgot about that.
So
I
I think he is an excellent player.
He was.
He was, and if he can be back to where he was, that will bolster their forward pack immensely.
Right.
If they have a fully fit Tom Trebojevic for all 20 whatever games, they will make it to the top 4.
Right.
If for any reason he's out for any number of weeks, they may struggle to make the top 8.
Right.
But I think if he can stay healthy, top 4 is not beyond them. Obviously, he's their X factor simply due to the fact that if he's
when he's on
out, there's a problem.
Exactly.
Right. So I predict them in 4th. My third place is the Penrith Panthers.
Yes.
They lose a lot of players. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
And their system is good enough, which means they won't lose a huge amount of positions. But I don't see them finishing first or second. I really don't. They gain Isaiah Papali'i, which is big. He is a good player. He was on a bad team.
Right.
He's a good player.
Maybe running outside Nathan Cleary can help him a bit.
I think so. But yes, they lose JWH, Luai, May, Taruva.
JFH, not JWH.
JFH, sorry.
That's Jared Weir.
There's too many Kiwis that have similar names. Okay, so JFH, Fish. But they do get Blaze Talangi, who will obviously jump into that role that Jerome Luai had, right? And he's one of these exciting little players. We know, we've seen him play. He's fast, he's nippy. Their major losses, can they cover for that is the big question. But their system is pretty bleeding good, as we've seen over the last... They've slowly leaked players to other teams, and yet they're still winning the competition.
Upper echelon,
right? Yeah. I believe they'll drop a little. Will they be in the grand final? If they make it to the prelim, very possibly.
They always hit another gear when it comes to the
Will
finals.
CommBank feel like a home stadium?
That's the big thing, and that's what we'll get into when I write one. Sorry.
I find their X factor will have to be Cleary. He has to have a year where he's not off the field, although he was off the field for 3/4 of the year this year, and they still won the whole competition. That they're putting him in cotton wool for all that time, so he can come back fully fit for the finals.
Management.
So yes, I've got them finishing 3rd.
Yeah. Okay. 4th, I have the Penrith Panthers.
Okay.
I think that I might be overestimating how impactful the lack of home field advantage is going to be for them. Because Bluebet is a fortress. Penrith Stadium has always been a big, hard travel for a lot of teams. And now they're playing at CommBank for home games, and it's like,
Well, CommBank becomes the home ground for three teams at this point.
Yeah, it's...
Does it? No, the Tigers, the Parramatta,
Eels.
and
Yeah. I think that, for as much, look, they're going to be competitive for as long as Nathan Cleary has breath.
Yeah.
He's the best player in the competition.
Yes.
It's just, he
That's
needs to
agreed.
be on the field, especially now because, look, Luai was a phenomenal second option. I don't think that Blaise Talangi has what Jerome Luai did in him, but he's still an excellent player. I think I'm very excited to see how he goes, in a more, carrying the ball intensive role than the center position he had at Parramatta.
Yeah, fair enough.
I think that, look, they have Isaiah Yeo, who just won the Golden Boot. He's arguably the best forward in the competition. It's very close. I think that Dylan
He's
Edwards...
definitely the best lock.
Dylan Edwards is still phenomenal. Brian Toto is still there.
Yep.
Look, the rise of Paul Alamotti last year was very cool to see. I think he's very, very
He needs
good.
to get his defense to fully in order, but yes,
Obviously, he's in the Penrith system. If any team's going to try and fix someone defensively, it's Penrith.
That's it.
I do think they're going to take a step back. They're going to look mortal for once. Just because I don't think their forward pack is as good without Fisher Harris.
You're correct. It's not. Right. He dragged them forward.
I love, some of the guys they have coming off the bench. I think Lindsay Smith is a great, great forward. He just needs to, keep progressing. He'll probably get there in a couple years. I just don't think this year is going to be his big year.
That's fair.
However, I do think that Isaiah Papali'i will be one of the Dally M second rowers of the year. Because he's going to get back into that form where he scores 15 tries. Running off Nathan Cleary is such a big thing for him. He'll get a lot of confidence out of that. I'm very intrigued to see how that forward pack goes.
I think he is
And
amazing.
Yeah, the big question is how important Jerome Luai was for that dynasty that they had. Third place, the South Sydney Rabbitohs. I know I've done this every year. I've done this every year, but I'm not going to stop now.
Well, maybe you should.
I'm not stopping now. This is the year for the Rabbits.
Here we go. It was the year for the Titans as well.
I really think that Wayne Bennett is going to do such wonders for that team. Something that Jason Demetriou could only dream of doing.
Probably next.
Their forward pack is great. For long as Cody Walker is there, their halves are going to be great. They have Jack Whiten, who's another halves coverage if they need, but he's good at centre as well.
Alex Johnson's still there.
He'll miss the first bit of the year because he tore his Achilles. But they have Tyrone Munro coming through, who looks excellent. Obviously, even detailing the forward pack. Keon Kalao-Matangi, phenomenal year. Cam Murray, one of the best 13s in the comp.
Although I don't think he had his best year in 2024.
Well, yeah, because he missed a few weeks because he injured his arm. But
I thought he was just a little bit tentative this year. I think if he can come back next year full on, I understand what you're saying.
They've got Davin Moali coming through, who looks like a great prop forward. They've signed Ewan Aitken and Josh Schuster, who have this perfect balance of high upside ball playing and just solid defending. And
Schuster can be very lazy.
True. I agree with that.
Yeah.
And they have that issue with Latrell Mitchell as well. But I feel like the respect that Wayne Bennett commands from every player that he's ever coached will supersede that.
Why didn't he do that with the Dolphins then?
He did, though.
He didn't. They came 10th and worse under Wayne Bennett.
That was a squad issue. That, in my opinion, is a squad issue because he got left with the scraps of every other team when he was building that roster.
Okay, so he had them in the top 8 both years.
Yes.
High in the top 8 both years. And they finished well out of the top 8.
Because their forward pack with a median age of 65 ran out of stamina. And especially when you look at the people that
How old is Cam Murray?
26? He's not overly old.
Than that, but
Keon's only in his mid-20s. Davy Moali's early 20s. Ewan Aitken's old-ish. But they have second rows.
Mitchell isn't as young as he used to be either.
He's 26 or something. You have to remember when he came in, he was 18 years old. He came straight into the NRL.
Which might have been.
And speaking of Latrell Mitchell,
why should we be speaking?
This is my big prediction. If he has a fully healthy season, he is going to win the Dally M. I think he just has the immense upside that is required for that, he's going to have a Kalen Ponga in 2023-esque season, in my opinion, if he's healthy.
Well,
The
we have it on pretty good authority that he's just lazy.
with
He just does. He just
He's 26.
even with even like the warm ups and stuff like that, he doesn't do anything.
yeah, well,
Just stands around.
hopefully, I keep saying it, but Wayne can change that. Bennett's the big thing.
Well, I hope for South Sydney's.
I hope for the NRL's sake that they're good, because the NRL is more fun to watch when Souths are good and when their fans are rowdy and awesome.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of Cody Walker either. I just think he has a red mist that can really stuff him up.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Latrell's heavy for a fullback. He's 102 kilos.
Well, you have to remember, he started his career as a centre.
He's a big guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I think that he's going to have a great season. I think Souths are going to have a great season. Will they make the grand final? I don't know, but I think they'll at least get to the prelims.
Well, if you finish third, you've got a good chance of getting to the prelims.
The big thing for me is, can the off-field drama come down? Because it's been the past few years where every off-season there's this big thing that happens, or even in the middle of the season. Remember the Latrell Mitchell thing, who had a Valentine Holmes incident with the whole white powder scandal? That happened again, and it's just...
Yeah, wow. So it's interesting how when it was Val Holmes, it was the worst thing in the world. With Latrell, it's all swiped under the carpet just about.
Well, you want to talk about swiping under the carpet? You remember when Cam Munster and Brandon Smith had that exact thing?
No, I don't.
Exactly my point. It's because it's Latrell Mitchell and he's such a polarizing figure that they made a big deal out of it. He is in the spotlight so much, and I feel like
that's his own fault.
Yeah, look, I think he lets it get to him a touch. And...
Touch?
Shush.
Sorry.
But... Very funny.
Touch.
Good. But, no, I think that he'll rein it in. I think that this is the year where he reaches the ceiling at fullback that he has.
Well, if he doesn't rein it in, I don't know how many more seasons he's going to have.
I agree with that. If he has another bad season, it might be curtains for him, and it's going to be one of the biggest what ifs in the history of the NRL.
I think half the issue is they compared him to one of the greatest players that the NRL has ever seen in Greg Inglis.
Yeah. Every time that happens, it never works.
It's not working. Cobbo, another one. Don't do that to people.
I think what Latrell needs to get into his head is that he's not Greg
Inglis. Not Greg Inglis.
He is his own player. And when he is his own player, he's one of the best.
He's a damaging and dangerous ball-playing fullback, but he has to rein everything in, and he's almost like a Reece Walsh to a different degree.
Yeah.
For slightly different reasons.
I agree.
But yeah,
I don't know.
It still affects his gameplay. He needs to fix that up.
Yep, okay.
Okay, let's all do number 2.
Number 2.
Not number 1 yet, just number 2.
Sydney Roosters.
You're bonkers.
No, I don't think so. But anyway,
Okay, no. You're going to need to thoroughly explain this.
Okay, I get that they're starting with Chad Townsend, which isn't the greatest.
They're starting without Sam Walker as well.
But I think they'll pick it up at the back end of the season. They'll win a bunch of games in a row.
That's not enough to finish second.
They'll win a bunch of games in a row. I hope you know this. They will win games in a row, and they will go up in the ladder.
Yeah, what you're saying is they're going to have to stem the blood flow from the start.
Your thinking is that they're going to start the year not great like I am. But you're almost saying that they're going to have to go undefeated from round 10 onwards to finish in second. That's a huge ask.
I guess it all depends on how the other teams around them are going as well. But yes.
Yes, but it's...
But look...
The amount of turnover in that roster, I can't see them being...
I think that's the main
that
problem with putting him second. I think the amount of players that they've lost is massive. And they haven't gained anybody.
It also happens
really
every year that everybody gets injured. Everybody gets injured on the Roosters.
I think their biggest loss, to be fair, and I didn't really mention it, would have been Joey Manu. I think he is just going to be missed.
Exactly who you predicted to come second, and it's not happening.
Well, we'll see.
It's more likely than the Roosters coming second. Let's just say that.
Okay. My second place, the Cronulla Sharks.
Yeah.
Stupid. Now.
It's dumb.
Yeah, okay, you're saying that, but you got to listen to exactly why.
Yeah,
listen to yours.
Yeah, okay, Dolphins in the top 8. Good on you.
Okay. Gains and losses of note. I have one each. Their game, Addin Fanua-Blake.
Huge. Huge.
They already had just about the scariest forward pack in the competition. Now it is the scariest forward pack.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt.
They lose Royce Hunt, which is, to be fair, a loss. He's very, very good. But Adden is that slight echelon above him.
They also lose Oregon Kafusi.
They do.
Who was serviceable for them.
Yeah. But he's almost a Royce Hunt player.
Kind
fairly
of.
similar.
Yeah.
But I think as a starting forward, Adden Fanua-Blake,
Can't do much
there's
better.
not much better in the comp than him. So there's not much cattle change at all. Their forward pack is the scariest looking thing on the planet for every other team. I can see them doing very similarly to this year. They're just going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. I think the only real question is, can Nico Hines get his confidence back? Or does Trindle basically take control of the team from the start and Hines is basically just a ball?
The Trindle one is interesting because he's also playing for a contract this year. He could have a massive season.
He was very good for them in the finals push. He was the reason they beat the Cowboys.
Absolutely.
There's no shadow of a doubt.
So good.
Here's their X factor for me. Not Hines. I think Hines will be serviceable as the 5'8".
It's a matter of whether he can get back into that Dally M form.
Hines is washed.
But I still think they're good enough to come second.
Yeah. I also have the Cronulla Sharks in second. I think for a lot of the same reasons as you, the roster turnover just isn't there. They've got a very consistent sort of...
And their coach, I should have mentioned...
Craig Fitzgibbon. He's doing an excellent job building this roster. And he said that when he first came in. It's like, this is going to be a process.
Hines is washed.
And he's done very, very well with doing that. I do think that Trindle is massive for them. I think that Nico Hines is huge for them. My big question mark is Will Kennedy. Because all he's been is just fine. He's just been fine.
Well, that's been enough for them, right?
Yes, but if they're going to get over the hump and have success in the finals, they need him to take that next step. And I don't know whether he has that in him. So they're going to be similar to the last few years.
He runs very hard.
He runs very hard. But see, we know that archetype of fullback works because of how successward Dylan Edwards is.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to figure out what makes Dylan Edwards so much better than Will Kennedy.
One
Defense.
word. Penrith.
I guess that helps. Playing in Penrith probably helps. But I don't know. I just feel like they need more out of the fullback position. And I don't know whether Will Kennedy can give that to them. That being said, I don't think they're going to drop him. I think he'll just be there. They also re-signed Cam McInnes, which is huge because he's phenomenal.
Poor Cam.
Yeah.
He looks just like... He looks like a punching bag.
I think the other position that really needs a lot of focus on it is the hooker. Because Blake Brayley is fine.
Yeah.
It's he's good. He got nominated for Hooker of the Year somehow. I don't know how that happened.
Over his brother?
Yeah. Well, that's just because I think the number 9 position is really weak right now. Because you've got Harry Grant and Damien Cook, and then it's just a bunch
Reece Robson.
Reece Robson. And it's just a blob of nothing.
Yeah.
And then, the Broncos one.
Or Billy Walton.
He's down the bottom somewhere.
I guess the only other one that fits in that upper-ish echelon is probably,
Mitch Kenny.
No. Mitch Kenny is fine. There's not really... The hooker position is just really meh in the NRL
Ben
right
Hunt,
now.
I suppose, if you want to...
If he plays there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I
Let's
agree.
all say this at the same time.
3, 2, 1. The Melbourne Storm. No surprises here. They are the best team in the NRL. They are going to win the premiership.
They're
And
going to go undefeated. It's Stefano.
I don't think there's much conjecture as to how good this Melbourne team is.
Penrith curse. Just beware of that. The Penrith curse.
I'm hoping and praying that happens, but I
Your
don't think it
reasoning,
will.
Caleb. We've all said it, but your reasoning.
Stefano
Utuikamanu.
Yeah, their gain is Stefano. They
However-
haven't lost anybody.
However, secondary one. A healthy Cam Munster.
Yeah.
Will be
If
huge.
he's healthy for the full year,
And a healthy Ryan Pappenhausen.
yes.
There's just so much strike all over the park with this team. And it's terrifying to think how good they are going to be. I can see them losing a couple of games over the origin period, and that's it.
How much are they going to miss Nas for the first 5 weeks?
Not much, I don't think.
I mean, Stefano.
They lose about a 15% sin bin rate, I suppose. And they get Stefano in, who's an amazing number 8. He might get back to origin level form, I reckon.
At Storm, I think he probably will. My X factor for him for this is Munster again. If for
Just
the
needs to
same
be on
reason,
the
if he can
field.
stay healthy, he's just one of these players that he has spiders on him. Man, nobody tries to. He just runs around till he finds a hole.
And my big thing is that, look, they were good last year without Cam Munster.
Yeah.
If they can get healthy Cam Munster this year, they are going to be unstoppable.
And if Jerome
Hughes can keep his form, man.
He was unstoppable last year. There was no half really even close to him.
And if there is any testament to how good the Melbourne system is, it's the out of nowhere elite play of Tyron Wishart. Like, where the hell did this kid come from?
I mean, his dad was a winger. Right?
Exactly. Melbourne were that good with Tyron Wishart playing 6 for the majority of the year. What are they going to do with him? Do they put him at the 14?
I think he's 14. He comes off the bench to give Harry Grant a breather.
Yeah.
I think hookers these days should play 80 minutes, but if they don't, he's a good foil for Grant, and he's got a few. I think he actually has more ball skills than Grant does. Grant knows when to pick his runs.
Grant has a kicking game as well. I don't think Wishart has that, despite the fact he plays half a lot of the time.
He does kick a bit, but it's a difference. I think Grant knows when to kick, and I think he knows what sort of kick to do.
Yeah.
He's also got a good running game off, like the good scooting game from dummy half. Wishart, I think, is a bit of more of a ball
playing
player.
Sort of. Yeah. I get you.
But I think he'd be a good forward, and I think that's how they'll use him.
Yeah.
I do. And if he comes on, they don't lose anything. As far as their attacking ability goes. You know.
I think a lot of even there are a few players that get lost in the sauce as well. Like Eli Katoa.
Yeah.
What a season he had. He was so good. And if he gets Cam Munster for the full year, the sky is the limit for this kid. He's so good.
I mean, he played for his country again. I mean, it's like, you know.
I think he was one of the second rowers of the year, wasn't he? It was him and Crichton?
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't think he's reached his ceiling yet. He's so good. But they also got like Sean Blore, who's this big damaging second rower who works
very
perfectly. There's just so much. Xavier Coates as well. How good he is.
He was good this
year. Will Warbrick.
Oh, Warbrick, he's a scary.
And if Jack Howarth can continue to progress as well, man, this team. And
they're going to be nigh on unbeatable.
Obviously, they're coached by Craig Bellamy, and that goes without saying that he's arguably the best coach in the NRL.
Of the modern time, anyway.
Yeah. I don't think... There is no doubt in my mind that Melbourne should be the favourites to win the premiership this year.
Yeah,
I don't see any team beating them without some external factors like injuries happening again.
I think injuries are the only thing that can kind of stop them.
Yeah.
They're just going to be this train. It's just going to get out of the way.
Major 2017 vibes from this team.
Yeah.
There's not much, I think, that's going to get in their way.
No. I think they're going to be the team to beat.
However, here's the question. If they win, does Craig retire?
Well, he said he's getting up there. He's 67 or 68 or something now.
He's getting up there. He's accoached all you can accomplish. Really. There's not much else he can do.
No, he's coached his... He's already coached New South Wales.
He has. Unless he wants to coach Australia.
You're going to have to wrangle that off Mal Meninga.
Mal Meninga could go and coach the PNG side.
That is also possible.
Oh, no. I think the International Rugby League world would tremble in its boots if Craig Bellamy ends up being the coach of Australia. Yikes.
Well, yeah. He knows how to get the best out of players, right?
Absolutely. I think that's it.
He takes a bunch of Neville nobodies and turns them into this juggernaut.
My prime example of that is Josh King, where he was an outcast at Newcastle. He comes into the Melbourne system. It becomes one of the most consistent forwards. And it's so admirable the job he does with the players he has.
I mean, look at Jerome Hughes. He was average.
He was average here. He was average at the Gold Coast. He goes to Melbourne, has a few good years, and then just goes bang.
Yep.
I think that came as a function of Cam Munster being out because he had to really take the reins. And did it.
That was like Jerome Luai, right? In Penrith. He stood up in Cleary's absence.
Exactly.
And stuff. Yeah. So.
My bold prediction about them is that Cam Munster is going to finish top 10 in Dally M voting.
Oh, he should.
I think
he could go close to top 5. I would suggest.
I think that if it's a matter of if Jerome Hughes can back up the year he had. If he can, it's beyond the sky for them. They're gonna reach the stratosphere.
They are that good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't see anything barring injury stopping them from winning in 2025.
I hate this so much. I want them to be bad. I've been alive for 20 years. They have not been bad for any one of them.
No.
And it's sad. So here's hoping that the curse of Penrith hits them. I just don't think it will.
I don't think it will. This is Melbourne we're talking about.
Melbourne. Yeah.
You know, they've been the most consistent team in the last 20 years.
Yeah.
It's quite simply that. Yes, Penrith have won the most competitions, right? But
They were bad for a period of time.
they were. Melbourne have never been bad. Their ceiling and floor is actually very close. It's like
I think the lowest they've finished in the past few years is 5th.
Yeah.
Where they lost to the Raiders in a very, very good finals game. I remember that one.
Yeah.
But
But
times.
good times. I'm sure Brendan would have thought so as well.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, so everyone, that's our
That's us. Ladder
our
predictions.
Ladder predictions.
You couldn't tell we're Cowboys
Our
fans.
ridiculously
You can't.
early ladder predictions.
Yep.
Which may or may not change given the next couple of months and what
as
happens.
players
with players
move around and injuries happen and stuff.
So,
I don't know what our next or when our next episode is going to be.
Or
So
video.
we'll figure that out whenever it comes out. I'll probably put a post up on Facebook or
Jerseys.
something.
Jersey rankings.
Jersey rankings. No.
no, we've got enough people.
We're not
to
going to do that simply because all the jerseys this year are garbage. Have you seen the Parramatta away kit?
It's all pink, right?
The
all yellow,
young
sorry.
one? Ugh, they look like a mustard bottle.
Yeah, it's not great.
Gross. We'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll work something out. We'll talk to you all again
All right.
sometime in the future.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.
Uru. Uru.
Stop.